I think here's the problem. Pharmacy benefit managers today are the worst kind of middlemen. You stop competition, you prevent transparency, you manipulate markets, and you make our healthcare system more complicated. Dr. Kutzner, you said healthcare is hard. No. The practice of medicine is hard. Healthcare is just a profit center in this country. Humira's rebates were at least 40 to 60% of the drug's list price in 2023. Does that sound right to you?
It's in the ballpark.
Okay.
Whenever Representative Katie Porter brings out the whiteboard, you know things are about to get serious.
This is your value in the marketplace, correct? Negotiating this rebate. How much did Humira generate in sales in 2023? Do you know?
I do not know.
$14.4 billion, $5.6 billion. Did all that money that you got as a rebate, did it go to patients?
The rebates were passed through to our customers, the employers, the organizations that fund healthcare in this country, and then they use those dollars, in some cases, to actually pass it on to the members.
You didn't retain any of that rebate?
As we mentioned in my opening statement, CVS Caremark passes through 99+% of all the rebates that we negotiate with the manufacturers.
Exactly. All of these negotiated rebates between drug companies and pharmaceutical benefit managers do is protect the biggest manufacturers, push out competition from generic alternatives, and boost profits for their own companies when they could be serving patients instead. Just minutes before, Porter illustrated how these PBM companies maximize profits to our detriment. Representative Summer Lee took these crooks to task herself.
In southwestern Pennsylvania, we are deeply familiar with the consequences of concentrated corporate power in our healthcare systems. Whether it's a hospital system, a health insurance conglomerate, or both combined, the consequences of healthcare monopoly are always the same: higher costs, reduced access, and worsened health outcomes. And with health insurance companies like United Health, Cigna, and Aetna, it's evident that through their monopoly power, they've been able to rig our healthcare system to prioritize profits over patient health, capitalizing on each level of the drug supply chain to boost shareholder returns. Last year, the parent companies for all three PBMs testifying here today were incredibly successful, as evidenced by their windfall profits. And I know that some of my colleagues before me have gotten at this, but I'm still curious. Mr. Joyner, how much total revenue does CVS Health report in 2023?
The Caremark revenues were just shy of $180 billion.
Thank you, Mr. Costner. How much total revenue did Evernorth Health Services report in 2023?
Congresswoman, I don't know the exact amount, but it's certainly within the filings that we provide. What I can say is...
Yeah, I believe it's $153.5 billion. How much of that total was attributable to Express Scripts?
So we don't report the Express Scripts segment on its own, so I couldn't provide that information.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Conway, how much total revenue did United Health Group report in 2023?
I believe it was in the high 360 billion in terms of revenue for the whole group.
How much of that amount was attributable to OptumRx?
116 billion was the revenue of OptumRx last year.
So while your three companies earn billions, Americans continue to pay some of the highest costs for medications in the world. Last March, the Kaiser Family Foundation released data showing more than a quarter of adults said it was either somewhat or very difficult to afford prescription drugs. For people of color, 60% of Black respondents and 65% of Hispanic respondents reported difficulty affording health care. And this is despite your claims of negotiating significant rebates from drug manufacturers to lower drug prices. So to any of you, it appears that this system of rebates actually benefits the PBMs rather than the patients, as we've been talking about. How do you explain this discrepancy?
Representative Lee knows a thing or two about fighting healthcare and health insurance monopolies, as she's been a frequent and vocal critic of how Pittsburgh healthcare giants, UPMC, AHN, and Highmark, have kept worker wages low, crushed unionization efforts, gobbled up land, priced out smaller hospitals and insurance firms, giving out record bonuses to CEOs and et cetera. So she knows what she's talking about.
Anyone? Dr. Conway.
So we compete in a market that is competing on lowest net cost to the customer, clinical programs, transparency, and choice. It's a highly competitive market. I've been in this role for about a year, and our retention rates are 98+% in OptumRx. And within that market, we work each and every day to make drugs more affordable, to your point.
But they're not more affordable.
So as I mentioned earlier, we've got over 290 drugs now in a program we rolled up that is $0 or $5 copays, so less than $35, typically $0 and $5. I agree with you that we need to continue to work along with stakeholders across
Thank you.
the system,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
including
that.
manufacturers to make it more affordable.
Thank you. Just stick in there. Last year, OptumRx's former CEO testified before the Senate Committee on Health, Labor, Education, and Pensions. She explained that some of your customers, quote, choose to compensate us for the savings we generate in the services we provide by opting for us to retain a small fraction of discounts we negotiate with pharmaceutical manufacturers. For companies that choose this compensation model, what percentage of the discount you negotiate with drug companies does OptumRx retain on average?
The majority of customers choose 100% rebate pass-through. On average, across the entire book, it's 98% of rebates that are passed through to our customers.
Your former CEO stated that, quote, other customers prefer that we pass along 100% of the savings we negotiate. So on average, how do clients who choose this model pay OptumRx as an administrative fee?
They have a set of choices in how they pay us. Some of them choose administrative fees. There's a set of options that we provide to them transparently that they select and how they reimburse us for our services.
It's clear that the savings you are claiming to be providing to patients are either woefully inadequate or not reaching them at all. I look forward to working with my colleagues to rein in PBM monopoly power and lower drug costs for all patients.
It's very clear that the OptumRx CEO was full of it as he was fumbling his way through a non-answer about lowering drug prices. The only true way to reduce costs for patients is to establish Medicare for all, because that is going to protect against corporate greed, against price gouging, against price fixing, and it would help to quell other non-competitive practices like sharing patient data information and sitting on patents to prevent innovation. Look, it is not hard to have a system where everybody deserves to get treated like they matter, okay? Healthcare shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. But the only thing that's preventing it is the insane amount of greed and want for nasty amount of profits over the human being. That's what we have with these pharmaceutical companies. It is profits over people. Because here's the thing, you still can make money. You just ain't making that as much money. And the money that you're making is nasty. It is disgusting. Again, Medicare for all is the plan. You still have people paying, right, the American citizen, but at a much, much lower rate. And then everybody doesn't have to feel so stressed out and anxious about whether they can pay a medical bill, whether they can pay for their child care or pay for a child to get a surgery done. And the list goes on and on. Medicare for all is the answer. We need to strip these companies of all the greed and all this money that they're making and bring it back to the patient. That's where the focus should be, not about making how much money you can make off of the American people. For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.